Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Robert Bohannon again on Revitalizing America, Part 3, Connecting America. Some of the issues that we face in America are deteriorating communities, increasing crime, lack of jobs, lack of leadership, trust in law enforcement officials. That's becoming more and more increasingly prevalent. A lack of health care access, the need to feed and clothe people, the need to train and counsel people, lack of affordable daycare, and lack of just being in community with your neighbors. These are things that have become increasingly more prevalent in the last couple of decades. So I want to talk to you about a solution to that. One of the things I would envision is actually creating locally volunteer-run community centers. Now, these community centers can be a rehabbed business or actually bought, where each one would serve maybe about 1,250 people. And so you may end up with a network of a couple 100,000 of these all across America. These would have like a meeting room that could hold up about 300 people, where they could actually meet and share a meal together. So they would have a kitchen. They also could have food pantries for reaching out and feeding those in need. They could have rooms that can be used for classrooms, for learning English, learning business, doing night classes. They could even serve as temporary housing for small businesses that are starting. They can contain a local neighborhood watch or police hub, where the actual police and volunteers could monitor the neighborhood. The meeting rooms can be used for watching movies when folks come together. They can be used as a daycare center during the day. They can be used as a community center for when people are maybe getting married and having parties and things like that. Each one of the centers can actually have a volunteer-run healthcare center, where if you just want to go in and be tested for strep or mend a wound or just as a checkup, these can be run with PAs and nurses and docs on a volunteer basis. What I would envision is actually each one of the centers to be able to issue tokens. So if you volunteer for an hour, you get a token. If you need a bag of food, you can trade that token in for a bag of food. That would encourage people to engage. If you volunteer as a neighborhood watch, as you volunteer to teach a class, as you volunteer for a daycare center, you earn the tokens and then can use those for taking classes or having your kids watch at daycare or visiting the little healthcare clinic. Each clinic can also serve as an emergency meeting place in case of natural disasters. It'd be like a FEMA hub where people can meet and come together. But it would be volunteer run. It's run by the community for the community. Each community center can also serve as a communication hub. Remember the national network we talked about? Well, each one of these can actually be one of the hubs that cell phones and internet connect to the national grid. Services can be offered, cell phone services, internet services, for tokens. Where do you get the tokens? You volunteer. You help the community. You pick up trash, or you paint buildings, or you help rehab. These are the things that the community center is designed for, to literally pull the community in a very localized fashion together. The main object is to engage people, to give them vision and an opportunity to help and to serve others, but also reward them for their service. Having these infrastructures can also be used nationally to communicate. Whether it's from elected officials or within one community communicating and talking to other communities to say, hey, look at this. This is what we're doing here. This is what we found that works. And it allows the community centers themselves to interface. It's a great way to get to know your neighbors, to actually have potlucks and you bring in the folks and maybe you feature some. It may be an opportunity to host church services, on Saturday or Sundays. If you're interested and can grasp this vision, or you have questions, please call me or write me at the address below. And thank you for joining me.